today.
One chocolate today.
Grand national state level, you would have to run non-sale, it's wholesale.
Is 9,000.
The only mistake I made, I didn't put a rate in the registration booth with it.
Just this ever-evolving story.
Welcome back to Let's Grow Pulling. I'm your host, Logan Stevens. We'll be joined here in a couple minutes by the one and only Randy Fishbaugh of the OSTPA. Jason decided to take the night off tonight. He's got, I guess, some business things to do outside the tractor pulling world. So in order for him to go pulling next year, we got to let him do his business stuff. But here we're joined by another group of awesome promoters, continuing on the Promoter December theme we got going here. So why don't we just get this kicked off? We'll go around the room, kind of give us a rundown on what you do, where you're from, and kind of let's just get started with how you got started. Mike, you want to go first?
Yeah, I can. I'm from Missouri. I put on just garden tractor mini rod pulls all around, do a couple indoor pulls. I went to never been to, I always loved the big boys, but I'm just a little boy that can't afford none of that big boy stuff. So I went to my very first garden tractor pull one year and was like, hey, I can do this, So I did that for a few years. I actually pulled. And then I kind of took lead of a club and ended up doing the sled on that for the club and got out of pulling because I couldn't do it all. And then got out of that and ended up getting my own sled, and I just run around and have a lot of fun. Do a lot of traveling and see a lot of awesome people.
Yeah, well, you do a great job at everything you do, managing. You'll run upwards 20, 30 events in a summer, and you do all the promotion behind it. So between you and your wife, we're definitely glad to have you out here in the central region.
Yeah, I definitely got to have her. She's my backbone. When it comes to all the paperwork and all that, that's not me.
Yeah, well, you got to have that. Dustin, Tell us a little bit about how you got in there with McLouth and what got you to where you are today.
You bet. Dustin Wooten, live in McLouth, Kansas, promoter for the Kansas Summer Nationals here in McLouth. Actually didn't grow up pulling. My whole life's basically been centered around the livestock industry, specifically the cattle industry. My wife grew up antique pulling, so that's how I got into the pulling side of it. Did a little bit of antique pulling for a couple years. And then once we got married, I told her I was tired of throwing 500 pounds of weight every class. So we retired from doing that. But both my wife and I are heavily involved in the McLouth Threshing Bee Association here in McLouth. And same as Mike, my wife is the backbone of making the Kansas Summer Nationals go. She just tells me what to do, and I try to get it done. So,
yeah. Well, you guys once again do a phenomenal job out there. We always have an awesome time when we roll out there, and it's always a great show. I mean, you guys put on an awesome show, do amazing things for the pullers, and heck of a crowd too. Kind of jumping around, we'll change it up and we'll go out here to the middle of Ohio, so to speak. Chris Solzner, tell us kind of a little bit about yourself.
So I live here in Medina, Ohio, actually a little town of Seville, but I joined our local fair board I've been on it 8 years, I believe now. And I started up, I wasn't actually involved in tractor pulling at all or nothing like that. I started helping out a high school, helping a guy that used to do all the Region 2 events here in Ohio. And I started measuring those events and just doing little things on the side. And then I become a NTPA tech official, and I did that, and I still do that to this day. I work the local Grand National events here in Ohio and a bunch of regional, and then I do a bunch with the Ohio State Tractor Pullers, and then I promote I'm not the head promoter of our event at the fair because I have other duties there, but I help with that event a lot and make sure and have grown it to what it is now. So,
Yeah. But that's awesome with all that. I mean,
Yeah.
You're in a little bit different kind of spot than some of these other promoters, being a true fair pull kind of deal.
Yep. Yeah. That's why we do so well is a lot of it because we're not a standalone event versus probably some of these other events that we have a fair to draw people in. So versus some have to have just the pull to draw people in. So.
Yeah. So that's kind of a whole new aspect going into it. And then, So how long have you been doing it out there?
Oh, I mean, I was involved with it right when I got on the fair board 7 years ago, but we've grown it since then. We started with just having a 5-class pull to now we're a full 8 we have an 8-class 2-track show that's grown very big. So,
yeah,
Yep.
That's awesome. Ken
Hello.
and Sydney, tell us a little bit about your event just north of us here in Buckner, Missouri.
I don't know. We started 12 years ago.
Maybe a little longer.
12, 15 years ago. We were brush pulling days, and we decided, me and my buddy Jim, we weren't done tractor pulling, so we had our tractor pulling in the middle of a cornfield, and it's grown from there. We moved it to the Sibley Orchard, and wish we had a bigger place to go now.
Yeah. I know you were talking about making those changes. We had you on here and moving to the bigger place. So it sounds like you need to move to an even bigger
12
place.
years
is what
ago.
you're saying.
Yeah, I don't. There's no place that's jumping at us, so
No.
we make do with what we got.
Yeah. So just kind of kicking it off, and we'll go back around. Starting off your poll in the early days, how'd you kind of get it off the ground, and what kind of surprised you most about getting the poll started and just kind of the ins and outs of promoting it?
I don't know, when we started doing it, we always find an organization to help us. And the first year we had the Buckner Grade School, they got in, and the PTA got in behind us, and it was just a pretty much redneck brush pull the first year. And then
I think we pulled till 3 a.m.
Yeah, way up in the morning, the way all that stuff goes. And then when we moved out the next year, then we got MSTA and the brush pullers. And we always have a lot of groups from town to help and for fundraising for them. Be involved in it. And, try to make everybody have fun, and everybody wants to come back, and it's worked really well so far.
Yep. No, that's super cool. Chris, what's kind of your thoughts with getting an event kicked off for the first time?
Oh, well, there's a lot of, if you're a standalone event versus around a fair or a festival or something, it's a whole new ball. There are two different ball games there just because one has a draw already versus one doesn't. But there's a lot of factors. In getting people to show up and make sure you can pay for a show versus a full on brush pull, as what you guys are calling it here, versus a state organization or even a national organization. It's all about what you can afford, and got to get people there to pay for it. So,
yeah. So, the money's one thing, getting the fans to come, that's the other deal. So
yep.
It's not just getting up one morning and saying we want to have a tractor pull.
Correct.
There's a lot more that goes into it. But if you don't get up one morning and say you want to have a tractor pull, then you don't get anywhere.
Yeah. That's like last year when we wanted to go to 2 tracks, a lot of our board members were like, well, we're making decent amount of money now, but we don't want to spend an extra $25,000 to make it a bigger event. So I says, okay. I said, I'll get sponsorship. So I did. So I went out and got all the sponsorship, and I got Jeremy Smith, who has the Spontaneous Combustion Pro Stock. He lives right here in Medina. And I went to him and another guy that's Bob Bauman at Bauman Oil or Bauman and Sons Oil. They're another big sponsor of ours. They both went up and they ponied up their sponsorship, and I went to about 10 other places, and I got it all paid for. So, and I even got Randy's mini rod sled paid for too in the process. So, because we had minis last year. So, yep. So that made it all go. So,
yeah. So that's super cool with that. Dustin, so how many years ago did you get on, and then what was kind of the status of the Kansas Summer Nationals before you took over?
Sure. So I joined the Thresh Bee organization in 2013, 2012, something like that. In the past, Bill Petrie had been the promoter for our pool until last year I took it over. And then last year we also made the switch from PPL Western Series to Outlaws. So I know for myself and probably for some others in our organization, it was almost like we were having a new pool because we weren't sure what to expect. But we were thrilled and pleasantly surprised at how smooth everything went. Like I mentioned to Logan before we got started, it's the biggest crowd we've ever had. And just the comments we got from the pullers and the spectators, we were very, very pleased with how our event went.
I mean, like you look in the back of some of these pictures you sent me, and it's standing room only.
Yep.
So just seeing this event come around full circle from where it was from the early days to here, how many years has this event been going?
Oh, I should have studied my history probably before I came on, but it's been somewhere around 60 years, I believe. It hasn't always been called the Kansas Summer Nationals, but they've been pulling there for a long, long time.
Ever since the start of the Threshing Bee?
Not quite at the start of the Threshing Bee, but it wasn't too long after when they started pulling.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long, long time. Mike, you mentioned there jumping from garden tractors into getting your own sled. What's kind of some of the things you saw when you were first getting off your feet and getting the whole club rolling?
I really don't know. It was when I got out of the actual club itself, I went a year or so, and I was in a pretty bad spot at that time because I love sleds. You know, sled is just what I'm all about. And one of my buddies, Doug Wall, up at King City, Missouri, was putting on a pull during COVID, and it was all online and stuff. And he's just trying to get some guys out because nobody was doing nothing. And I noticed it was getting really big and stuff. So I called him. I said, "Hey, Doug," I said, "if you need some help," I said, "I'll help you." He said, "Man, I'd love that." And the guy's bringing the sled, and you can do it, and your wife can help my wife do the books. So we ended up doing that. And long story short, by the time the pool got done, the guy that brought the garden tractor sled pretty much asked me to run it for him and take it over. And so that's kind of where all that started. And then at that time, I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, I had a buddy of mine that was kind of trying to get me to go down south quite a bit with pulls and stuff. I said, "Man," I said, "I can't. I ain't got no pullers down there. You know, it's really hard to get established and stuff." And now down south is like where a lot of my big pulls are. You know, we'll have 150, 180 hooks or whatever. Wow. You know, down south. I mean, Southern Illinois is just, I pull with the club down there called 618 mini tractor pullers. And they have their own sled and stuff, but they like to have me come down, you know, just because they love the sled and all that. So they have me come down for all the big events, the fairs and stuff. And then I got involved with Gail Lutz and stuff over there in Kansas, and that's all worked out really nice. And then just kind of just been, you know, just clipping at it ever since. You know, it really helps out tremendously when you have a good show. You know, whenever you put a pull on, you know, like just last year I did a pull there in Lebanon at the same place I'm doing the Show Me Show Off this winter. And you did all the work. We had to pull dirt out, put dirt in and stuff, and only ended up with like, I can't even remember now. I was very disappointed on like 30 or 40 hooks. You know, that don't even pay the bills, you know, and that really gets you down and stuff. But then when you go to the places where you have good shows and it's a good turnout and stuff, it really picks you up a little bit and keeps you going. But other than that, I mean, I don't know what to say other than we just keep going at it. And, you know, the pullers are the heartbeat of the sled, and we just do everything we can to help the pullers out, you know. So we definitely listen to them quite a bit.
Yeah. So the big thing there you mentioned is keeping the pullers in with it. And then let's kind of look at some of the fan stuff. So say kind of a first-time fan asks you what you got going on here. How do you explain to a fan kind of what you do and how to get them to just attend the pull?
Well, I really don't come across that too much. But the ones that I do, you know, kind of talk to and all that, I tell them, you know, there's, you know, the kids that are there pulling and stuff. It's so amazing seeing like these little, you know, 4 and 5 and 6-year-old kids, you know, on these tractors. You know, they're like big. They're doing it big, like the big boys are. You know, it's just so amazing seeing them. I really feel like I'm a pretty strong guy, and you get a little kid pulling down through there, and the audience starts hooting and hollering and stuff. It gets me really teary-eyed. You know, it's just really awesome. And but we're trying to involve the mini trucks now to try to pull in some more of the crowd and stuff, you know, at some of these events and all that. And we just tell people that, you know, these garden tractors ain't your average lawnmower. You know, I mean, they've definitely come a long ways.
Yeah. Dustin, what's kind of your thoughts on getting a first-time fan to your event?
Sure. So that's not being a puller and just a fan of the sport. That's, I guess, kind of how I focused putting our classes together last year. And I think the diversity sure helps. Like even the first timer can tell the difference between a mini rod and a semi, right? So having really no two classes not were alike. The closest two classes we had to each other were the 4.1 limited pro stocks and the 5.0 pro stocks. Everything else you could clearly see that was different. My opinion, we're in pickup country, so 4-wheel drive pro stock pickups, everybody can relate to them. Everybody's dad or uncle or grandpa had a square body at some point in their life, and they're the most road looking pulling vehicle there is, at least that we offer at our pull. So we have a lot of fans that come for the 4-wheel drive pickups. That I would say, if they know what a tractor looks like, or even if they don't know what a tractor looks like, it's well worth it. It's only $25 to get in, and you can't hardly do anything anywhere for $25 anymore. So once they get there, they're shocked at the show that's put on, the crowd that's there. And usually if you can get them hooked and get them there, they'll come back the next year.
Yeah, that's something I've seen, kind of the thought of you can go to a concert for $100 a chair, or you can go to a tractor pull for 25. And I think you get a better show at a tractor pull, but getting over kind of the thought of, oh, well, $25 is too much to go watch a pull kind of deal.
Sure. And it's a family friendly event, right? So you bring your whole family, bring your kids, relatively for a pretty cheap budget. You bring your family in, the kids will enjoy it. And a lot of times sometimes those are the kids are the ones that make the parents come back. So we enjoy having a whole lot of kids show up to make mom and dad bring them back next year.
Yeah. And I mean, the kid, like Mike mentioned there, the kids are kind of what makes the sport go around with stuff. Chris, what's kind of your practices with getting first time fan to your event?
Well, we do. So usually the day before we get a couple of these local. So it's during the week of our fair. So we obviously have attendance and people there that don't even know what a tractor pull is probably. And so the day before, we've been getting a couple local pullers here that don't have a pull the day before, because some do. And we get them to bring their pulling vehicle in, and we put it on the fairgrounds. And they talk about it, and people see it and touch it, and some of them let people sit in it. And that's been good, and because that gets new people's eyes to come back the next day that might not have come back. So we do that. We do some ticket giveaways here with our sponsorship and stuff along like that. But we have a pretty good fan base just because it's our fair. So a lot of the people that camp there and things of that nature, they attend it. And we are in pulling country, I guess, out here, because every county fair around here has a big show. If it's not there's 2 Grand National hooks within an hour of here. Well, not less than an hour, 45 minutes. And then there's a bunch of state hooks that are, every county around us has a state hook and everything else. And some have 2 and 3. So pulling is readily available around here. It's not. So there's a lot of fans of it.
Yeah. Across year after year with your event, do you see more pullers or more fans returning, or do you see more new faces out in the crowd?
That's hard to say, because I can't say I sit up there and scan them all, because there's just a million other things going on. But I would say most of them are probably returning, but I'm sure there's a fair amount of new. I'm sure there is. We've grown the attendance, so there's got to be new. So we definitely have grown that. So, and I think adding the new classes we did brought in some people and stuff of that nature. So,
yeah, I know. Talking and just seeing what Sydney does on her daily with stuff, getting the new fans to the sport. What have you guys found that works best to get kind of some new butts in the seats? Keep the old ones and get the new ones.
Well, so we try to advertise through the school, get the school involved, and then that helps get some kids out that don't, wouldn't have come anyways. And then lots of times we'll do we'll have some buy one, get one tickets. And sometimes you can get some people that wouldn't come that way. And then a lot of times those people come back, Another thing that we've done that's really helped our crowd get there is when when we went out to Sibley, we had there for a while, we did a couple farm classes real early, get them out of the way, and that gets some other people there. But then we did, for a couple of years or 3 or 4 years there, we did PPL, Outlaws, and MSTPA. Then when you have all 3 of those organizations, you get your fan base is just like, it's huge, because there's certain people that follow each organization. If you can have it all there, then that's really when we grew when we did that. And the downfall of that was the sanctioning fee with all 3 groups, But the other thing that we do too is, we'll advertise on the radio. Facebook's the biggest thing, social media. We're getting, this past year we was kind of lax on getting our flyers around, but years previous we'd go in a big circle around Buckner, 20 miles passing out flyers. But social media is probably the best thing, and Sid really helps with that. And,
Facebook and TikTok, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
So that was going to be my next question, kind of leading into that. What do you think some promoters kind of overlook as for promotional wise, or best ways to get their events out there?
I just think being personable. I know it's awkward to put a phone in front of your face and talk, but just have a conversation with your phone like you would to someone in person. And, everybody's attention spans are so short now. They just scroll and scroll. But if you have a quick video that says what you're having, get your information out there. Everybody wants to watch a video now instead of read a post. And I just think that's the way things are changing. And it's awkward. No one likes to listen to themselves talk, but it's worth it.
We've got lots of when the guy comes with the helicopter the day ahead of the pull, we'll fly around with the helicopter and do lots of pictures, and we give lots of rides, and everybody likes to see the helicopter pictures, and it makes it a lot of fun. The other thing that we really like to do too is, like, when our fans are there. McLeod does a great job of it with their after the Polar meal that they have their VIP area there for fans, and Warrensburg did a great job with that. And we didn't think about it soon enough this year, but we would like to get into where we have a VIP area where you can buy some drinks, have some food, have that area for the people that want to spend some extra money and hang out, and you see at both of those events that there's a lot of people in those areas. So McLeod does a great job. We love going to McLeod. We've been there for years and years and years.
Yep. Dustin, what kind of with the VIP stuff, how'd that come about with McLeod? You're muted.
Sorry about that. Starting the Kansas Summer Nationals, the whole purpose of having the event was to raise funds and draw people into our grounds for our threshing bee that we have in September, which is steam engines, old threshing machines, corn shellers, and things like that. So that's the origination of the Kansas Summer Nationals.
Yeah, hold your thought on that real quick. I mean, looking at this right there, for those who don't know, National, right there at the beginning of the event, they'll bring this massive piece of machinery out there. Dustin, what can you tell us about this thing real quick?
All I can tell you is it weighs a lot, and it's only like 18 horsepower. So,
wow.
But it's cool.
It is cool. It is cool. Yep. That's a tradition. That's how we start the pull every year, is with the steam engine coming out, pulling half track for the national anthem. And luckily for our threshing bee, in September, we've attracted a few more steam engines to come. So I think last year we had 3, maybe 4 in September. So, but to get back to your original question on the VIP, that's actually for our sponsors. My goal is to have the pool paid for, at least everything on the track. So the purse, sanctioning fees, sleds, and everything with sponsor money. So that VIP area is exclusively for our sponsors.
Yep.
And that we'll feed them. We have bleachers and tables and everything right at full pull line, somewhere around 300 to 320 feet. They're setting, probably got the best view in the house. So that was origination of the VIP was, hey, how do we help raise funds so we don't have to come up with all this money out of pocket by getting some sponsors. And we've been very, very blessed to have some very good sponsors that have been with us for a long, long time to help us make this thing go.
Yeah. We bring you a slight break in our discussion to welcome the one and only Randy Fishball.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm late. So
you are 100% good. So, Randy, it sounds like you just got out of a pretty heated meeting, so we'll let you jump in on the next one here.
Sure.
But, Chris, do you have anything similar to that with the VIP or any special things for your sponsors?
No, I mean we don't do that. We do a big pullers meal that a lot of them eat at, but I wouldn't say it's a VIP thing. But all the sponsors can eat. But most of the sponsors are involved with the pull anyways, so they are there, or they are a puller, so
Yep.
or have a pulling vehicle affiliate. So, but no, we don't do really a VIP thing like that. We give them tickets and things of that nature. So.
Mike, you're kind of in a different situation with this, not having one singular event that you're at. Tell us a little bit what it's like with getting sponsors for the club and kind of what goes on behind that.
Well, I started out real strong with the sponsors and stuff. And my boss and stuff, he still does a lot of sponsoring for me and all that, but I've got to worry anymore. It's been so hard to grab sponsors and stuff. I just kind of just do my own thing anymore. It's just, there's enough on the pool itself, just getting it put together and stuff. And like I said, I'm kind of a lone man, and I just ain't got the time and everything to do it all. So I just try to just do it without the sponsors and stuff. So
Yep.
Which makes it really rough, but it's been working.
Yeah. Well, some things got to roll like that. Randy, let's
I'm
get you
listening.
in here.
I'm listening.
What's on your mind to ask some of these fine gentlemen?
Oh boy, I tell you, my brain's been scattered. I was just gonna hang out for another round or so just to try to figure out what you guys have already talked about.
Okay,
so
cool. We can definitely let you roll on that one.
for
So,
sure.
Seeing that a lot of these events take a lot of work, I know just being at Dustin and Ken's event, seeing the community come around. Mike, what are some events that you've been to that you've had your sled at where you see just some members of the community and just kind of their involvement with that?
Oh, there's some places you go to that I mean, I'd really hate to say it, but that could really care less if the pull even happens. You know, they don't take care of the track and stuff, and those places like that, I don't really care to go for. Yes, it pays the bills, but I've got to worry anymore that, you know, if it's going to be a bad track and stuff, I don't want that for the pullers. I don't want to be known as this, you know, hey, Mike's putting on this pull, you know, what's the track going to be like? I want to be known for the guy that, you know, always has the good tracks and stuff. And like I said, I can't do it all. And a lot of the fair pulls and stuff I go to, the only tracks that I deal with is like my indoor stuff. And Chris Monses and stuff helps me do that. Mackenzie McDaniel and Thomas Michelle and stuff like that. They always help me build the tracks and stuff at my indoor pools and stuff. But there's some pools that we go to that's just so amazing. You know, the help that they have, you know, with the community and stuff. You know, they're all there. You know, a lot of them don't know what they're doing, but they say, hey, you tell us what we need to do and we'll jump right on it. You know, and there's a bunch of places like that, you know, that just love it. And then they don't have as far as the garden tractors and mini rods, people don't understand what they are and they don't show up, you know. And I always tell the promoter or the fairs and stuff, I said, you know, get the word out, you know, this year might not be as good, but the people start talking and more people start showing up, and it works out that way. But normally the first couple of years is pretty low on attendance and stuff. And we're still not really big on, you know, attendance coming. You know, we never pull in a crowd, you know, just even NQS, you know, they're like the little people, you know, but they do really big shows, you know, they're national and stuff, and they don't even pull in the crowds and stuff. But a lot of these little bitty towns that you would never think anybody would ever be at, you know, you never even heard of them before, has some of the biggest audiences. You know, it's just so awesome like that.
Yeah. Let's talk real quick on keeping kind of the fans involved with it. How do you structure your show to keep the crowd there over, of course, multiple hours?
Yeah, well, I normally try to always start off with the kids, you know, pulling, and then we'll jump right into, you know, a V8 mini rod or something, and then I consider all the adults on like 16 horses and, you know, stuff like that, kind of just fill-ins, you know, and then we just scatter them to where there's like the kids will pull, then a big one will pull, then there'll be like just the fill-ins, and then we'll jump back to, you know, maybe another kids class, and then, you know, I had the sled set up real easy where it's mainly just changing gears and stuff. I don't move much weight, you know, at all. It's just you know, some of the kids I won't use grousers or nothing, but then, you know, it's just a flip of a button, you know, to flip of a button and change of a gear to jump up to the big class. So it ain't nothing for us just to, to be able to keep the show rolling. And
so real quick change
and all that, so it kind of the audience don't get bored with as I'm backing up, which I get a lot of compliments even on the backing up, the announcer and all that. They'll even get the crowd involved with the way the sled backs up, because it's fast.
Yeah. For those that don't know, he might have the fastest backing up sled in the West out here. Chris?
Yeah, it definitely gets going.
How do you kind of structure your event to keep the fans there for the long term?
Well, we don't need to be there too long because I want them to all go back into the fair and support the vendors that really are paying the bills in the big picture there. So we need a good, fast, quick show is good so they can get back out there and spend more money in the fair. But to keep them there, and that's a big thing why we did 2 tracks, because there's always something going on. There's always something moving versus just the 1 track, and then you're waiting on the next tractor and things of that nature. So with 2 tracks, there's always something moving, and that was and that really worked well this year for that. So
yeah. Well, I think the 2 tracks is a big deal for any event looking to take the next step. And then you mentioned there running a fast show. We always see that, yeah, you can schedule every class in the book, but if your show's running over 3 hours or so, you're losing your fans kind of deal. So that's similar but different for you guys, trying to get them back out to the midway.
Yeah, so this year we changed up. We used to always run pro stock semis last, and we're in Ohio. We have a good show of semis in Ohio here, and we used to always run them last. And you would look up in the stands, and there would be a quarter of the people that were there at the beginning. So this year we switched it up, and I believe they ran 2nd or 3rd class. So a lot of the people we had a good crowd for that. So, and that's hoping that those people come back now because they've seen that, and they might have never seen that in years past.
Yeah. Ken and Cindy, how has it changed from where you started to go into 3 organizations to now structuring the classes the way you do? What's kind of the thought process that goes in behind all that?
Well, so there's a couple different ways that we need the wow factor for the fans, and then the money factor, and that's pretty well out the door now because it costs a whole lot of money to do it the way we're doing it. But everything we have is really good stuff. We try to accommodate the classes for our buddies too. We have probably more smoke than we have noise. We still have a lot of noise, but like Dustin was saying, people can relate to a semi, they can relate to a square body truck. They still do like to see a tractor that resembles a tractor, but man, they love the blown 2-wheelers. They love the big mods. They love the little mods with the, you get the aircraft motors, the jets, and, you got a mix up to keep everybody happy. And we run 2 tracks, try to keep it moving really fast. We can keep a pretty good crowd there till 11, and we like to be done by 10:30, quarter to 11. And unless we have a big we will run 120 through, and that about the time everybody gets to see a lot of stuff. Every now and then we've had we've had to 11:30 or something, but those days are pretty well gone. We try to go over. The biggest thing to keep the show moving is go have a meeting with your track crew ahead of time. And, it seems like we don't have a lot of the same people back every year. We recruited some good help, Russell Martin, and tried to get Chris to come, but Chris had a prior engagement he had to go to a poll somewhere else. But man, if you get those guys that'll come, treat them right, and they'll come back and help you, and they can really keep it moving. That's what we like to see. So. far as the pullers, when they get there, we're short on parking, and I think it's really important to make your pull smooth is to have a plan for people there to get the pullers parked. Some of the pullers get aggravated with us because we haven't parked so close, but we try to, hey, if you got 2 or 3 vehicles, we'll give you a little bit more room. But if you have people that do the parking for you, man, you can get twice as many pullers in the pit area and get them stacked in there all the right way, and then everybody can leave and organize a lot better that way.
Okay, what I'd miss. I'm back now.
Oh, it's all right. You did okay.
So I need to figure out where we were.
So we're just going over things that made the pull good and quick.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's where we were. Dustin, we had one year where we fought rain a year or two back to where we had to drop it to one track. But seeing that you've mostly always ran two, how do you stage your classes?
Yeah, so Kyle did an awesome job with Outlaws in the class order. I think there's a really good balance of the smoke and the noise and kind of alternating them last year. In terms of the speed of the pull, like Ken mentioned, Chris mentioned, 2 tracks definitely helps, but having a really good track crew, our track crew's been together a long time, and they get with it, and they know what to do. And this year we added, on a bigger scale, a bigger t-shirt cannon to give away t-shirts when their class is over in the reweighting sleds. And that went over really well. We might have had as many comments about the t-shirt cannon as anything after the pull is over. So just to keep everybody engaged and having fun. I don't know how many t-shirts they shot off, but it was well over 100. So.
Yeah, on the list of superlatives that you can give the Kansas Summer Nationals, I think the fastest track crew might be one of them, because those boys can put together a track darn quick. So, Randy, hearing all these different things from all sides of it, what's kind of your 300-foot flyby on the current state of promoters?
Sounds like everybody's got a little different outlook on it for sure. And like I say, I know being around, doing a lot, I've worked with Chris a lot at other events other than his. And I don't know if he told you, he gets a tractor. It's got a mounted, grader and pulls the roller on it. That really speeds up our show. They've been trying to get more and more people to do that. And us as Ohio, as the executive board, are going to work more with our promoters. Chris doesn't even know about a few of these things. We're going to work. we're working to try to get to keep the crowd involved. We're going, if you get and Chris already has an A event. So some of the new things we're adding for that, I believe there's going to be like driver introductions, and try to get the crowd involved and maybe throw some Frisbees. And if you like this, say the Pro Stock class, if they throw the Frisbees out and Jeremy Smith, wins with the high-strung tractor, and your boys or your kids have that Frisbee, they bring it down to the t-shirt tent, and they'll get a free t-shirt, and we get Jeremy to autograph it or whatever, or whoever, Kenny Lucas with the fantasy truck or whoever it would be. We're going to start offering that to our promoters to try to get the crowds involved more. So that's going to be fun. We did it at a couple events, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to, as executive board members, we thought that would be fun, and to try to keep everybody active at that too. So that's another thing that we're going to bring on to our promoters this year.
This is kind of a question everyone can answer, but more towards Mike and Randy. What have you noticed that some things your promoters are doing that you'd like to see other events adapt into, or they're good ideas that could be modified and work out really well for everyone?
Well, Chris does it up there in Medina, and when we worked with Kyle a little bit, Kyle Matcham, is like you said, a few of them mentioned parking vehicles. That's a big thing. Once you get the first 2 or 3 pullers parked, if we could get everybody to do that, boy, it'd make our life a lot easier at the end of the day. That's one big thing that we struggle with. Some of our venues are very small. If we could get everybody designated to have a parker, that would that would go a long ways to make our life a lot easier. And a few other just little things, that'll make the flow of the show better, to the scales, from the scales, make the show better, faster for the fans as well. That'd be kind of something we're going to push our promoters for. So that's one thing we're working at.
Yeah. Mike, when you show up to an event and the weeks leading up to it, what are some things that you can tell a good promoter's doing for the event where you know, hey, this is going to be a good event?
Oh, when they kind of communicate with me on how we want the track, they'll ask me, how much water and stuff, and sometimes, this is Missouri, you never know, it changes daily, but we have a lot of talk about that and stuff. And then another thing that I really think that helps to keep an audience is having an awesome announcer that engages the that talks about the pullers and lifts everything up and all that, and then throws the audience in there and all that. I think that goes a long ways. But other than you can just kind of tell in the promoters, I don't know how I want to say it, but voice or whatever, that if they're really excited about it and stuff, that normally goes a long ways too.
Chris, kind of changing it up for you, going to other events, what have you noticed some other promoters doing that really struck you and things that you could adapt into your own event?
Yeah. One thing we did start doing, or I started doing, was getting sending out puller invites, kind of like they do to like the National Farm Machinery Show. But I send it to a whole list. I get with the executive board, and they send me their Ohio State list, and then I always get the PPL list of all the people that are PPL members for the classes we have. And even if you're in wherever, I send you a letter, just because maybe one day you'll remember you'll be in town, you might show up to our poll. So I've been doing that. I usually send out 250 or 300 of those letters to all the pollers, and that is something that they used to do for Kyle Matcham's poll at Dragway 42, and that's where I got that idea. So I took that and ran with it, and it's I mean, I wouldn't say if I get 5 extra pollers out of that, it worked. I mean, I'm happy with that. So, and it works. It's a good idea, and I get a free address list from Ohio State Board and Christie. It don't cost me nothing other than a couple hours of folding envelopes and putting stamps on it.
Right.
But we've had good turnouts with it. So
yep.
Yeah.
Just because they feel like they're, I guess you feel a little special. I mean, that you've received that it's not just, hey, come here. It's a letter, and it states what we have a poller's meal and this and that. And then and it states things of that nature about our event. So,
Dustin, what have you kind of seen from events in the area and other places you've been to?
Yeah, so we're pretty unique in Kansas. There's, in terms of kind of on a national scale, so to speak, just us in Mountain City, Kansas, that I'm aware of. There's a lot of.
There's nothing out here.
Correct. It would be awesome if they keep coming west, but maybe one day. But I do try to make it out to some other pools every year. Been to Ken and Sydney's multiple times, Wisner. We've kind of been all over the place just to kind of see what they're doing and incorporate things that works well at those pools to help make our pool better. One thing from some of those pools is in the past we probably lacked pull-off vehicles and drivers to get things off the track if they need a tow off the track. So, making sure we've got drivers and plenty of vehicles there to pull them off the track or get them to the scales or from the scales to the track, just to speed up the shows, little things like that. We like to go to everyone's concession stand and see what their food prices are to make sure ours are in line every year with everybody else's, and we're not either way over everybody or way under. So that's one thing we look at everywhere we go is concession wise, are we in line with everybody else?
Yeah, the world of Poland's always changing, and I mean a whole bunch of stuff's coming out. Let's get kind of the group's thoughts on. I mean, all of us at one point in time have put on a poll that's now gone with the live stream stuff. How's that kind of help your event out, or for promoters that are kind of on the edge with stuff? How's the live stream world treated you?
Yeah, I don't. So I guess I'll start. We have never had live stream at Medina yet, but I've been involved with quite a few in Ohio at other polls that have. And what I hear from some of the older board members of like our local fair board and stuff like that is, well, if we live stream it, these people aren't going to come to the poll. Mm-hmm. And that's a battle, is that people that they think that everybody's just going to go on and pay the money and watch it on there. Well, I disagree with that. I mean, I've been to enough polls that the local crowd, there's a big difference between watching it on TV and seeing it in person, just like any sports game. Same thing. Why do they fill a stadium? Because it's the same thing when you can watch it on TV, because you're actually there. It's the experience you're getting versus live streaming it. But I think live streaming is a great thing. I mean, I watch polls all over the United States go with it. I mean, so it's a great thing.
Mike, I know we've had a couple of your indoor events streamed. How did that work out for you?
I like it personally, just for the simple fact, after the poll's all said and done, I can go back and like study, the classes and what I could do different, and I do a lot of that. Sometimes me in the sled and I can't see the full picture. So after it's all said and done, I can go back and look at it and be like, well, I could have done this to make it a little bit better, and stuff. And that's where I use the live streaming for me personally. But yeah. I love it. Just hearing the comments. I got a lot of buddies that, with me personally, with all the traveling I do, a lot of the people that are around me, they, they're never going to show up to a poll. They're not going to drive 4 or 5 hours to go watch a poll with me, but they can, sit back at home, and just like the Lebanon poll, they'll sit back at home and they'll watch it. And that kind of makes you feel good, when they you go back to work or whatever, and they sit there and talk about it, and you weeks on in, you see videos of it and stuff. So I really think the live streaming has been a good thing. I have been at polls that, like Chris was saying, the fair itself didn't want it because it wasn't going to pull people in. But I really feel like it will pull more people in, just because they'll see what it's all about, and then the next year they'll go.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I stand on the stuff.
Dustin, have you seen anything with McLouth? I mean, your numbers continue to grow every year, and then you have the live stream deal.
Yeah. I think, like Mike just mentioned, I think it's a benefit for sure. Not only maybe bringing in some new fans to come, but potentially maybe some extra pullers that maybe catch the live stream. Say, I've never been to McLouth. They have my class there. Then also, using full pull this year since we were with Outlaws, they also did our online ticketing, which was a big help because we sold a lot of tickets online before the show started. So being able to marry those two things together was awesome. With the live stream, we have the replay screen. So all those replays that from those camera folks goes on the big screen. And I don't think we could ever go back to not having a replay screen. So I think that's a benefit. And then, as Mike mentioned, going back and being able to watch it for me was probably the biggest perk of it, and seeing things that I didn't catch during the event because there's so many things going on, what we can do better and what we need to change for next year just by watching the replay of it.
Yeah, we were talking with some promoters from down south last week, talking about how live stream didn't hurt their event in any and actually help the crowd numbers. but then you have 10, 20, 30, 40,000 other people over the course of the next 2 weeks viewing your live stream on Full Pull Live. So between that, getting that out to your sponsors and letting them know that there's so many more eyes on what's actually going on rather than just what's going down the track. So, Randy, what do you got?
Well, I agree with Mike and Dustin a lot there. We use it as a very good learning tool to both directions. To see what we did right and to see what we did wrong. What we don't want to air out any dirty laundry on the TV for the whole world to see, you know. So
I knew you were going to say that. That's your famous line. You get to see your good and bad laundry.
Absolutely, Chris is right, and he and I have we talked quite a bit and about other things, and that's there's so many benefits. There's way more benefits to live streaming than there are downfalls, in my opinion. But you can use it there's a lot of tools that you can use there, and it just depends on how you want to use them. But we Chase Smith and I we watch quite a few of them, and we talk about stuff and how you can do better as pullers and as promoters and as board members. So there's a lot of great things that the Full Pull's doing for us. And that's, once again, that's just my opinion, but I think it's a great thing, and it's just a mental block with the old timers that think it takes away. But I think it probably gets you more people to come, because let's face it, a lot of us are pretty spoiled. We've all been on TV a few times, and we're not movie stars by any stretch of the imagination, but we've all been on TV a few times. We've all get to wave to the crowd, and everyone, some of us more than others, but a lot of people, when they flash to the crowd and people get on TV, that's a big thing for people in a small town of 1,250 people. Man, they got on TV the other night. I seen you on TV, so it's a big deal for that, and a lot of people, I think you can draw them in with that, and it makes a big deal. There's a lot of selling points for it. I don't know. It's never ending, in my opinion, of what you can do with that live stream. So, but yeah, that's my take. So
that's your 10 cents on it.
Yeah, that's my.
You can do video review as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Once again,
you can do video review.
On the downside, you could throw the yellow flag in. Yeah.
I take it there's probably a story to go along with it.
Well, I don't know. Chris knows more about that.
It would just be a new rule.
Yeah,
An organization put in there that there will be video review.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah.
And that's where it can be a good thing. So.
Sure, it can be. And obviously, I'm not a very big sports person. I'm all about spark ignition, but so that's why we all laugh about, Chris and I laughed about it. Like say you can throw the yellow flag or whatever that flag is for the video review at your finished flagger and tell them to get on it, just something to laugh about, that's the shop talk. Sorry. So
yeah. What's some of your guys' thoughts on what it's going to take for your event, and then kind of events all over the country, to kind of take pulling to the next level, as we're seeing? I mean, we're constantly progressing forward, and I think the sport's at an all-time high, but keep the sport moving forward and seeing what we can do with it.
Boy, that's a loaded question, Logan. It's going to be tough to keep it going. I mean, there's a lot, in my opinion, there's a lot going on right now. And the next couple weeks is going to be a lot more things come out. And once the dust settles and we actually get to go pulling, I think that's going to be when we'll be able to tell what we can do to escalate it to the next level. Because the next level's here. We just haven't got to play in that sandbox yet. So. Yep. But it's gonna be a fun summer. If you're willing to drive, you're gonna have to be willing to huff a few miles, and which in Ohio we always drive a bunch. Not as much as you guys do. You guys drive a long way just to get the chain tight, but we got a lot of events here, and we drive them. But if you're willing to drive, I think it's gonna be a fun summer. You're gonna be able to see some stuff, and there's gonna be a lot of really good pulling go on for sure with obviously with the Champions Tour and with the with Grand Nationals. All those guys are going to be tough. Then the new series that's coming, and it'd be a lot of fun, I think. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. Anyhow,
A lot of
Before we
big polls announced already, so there'll be
Yeah.
a lot of things to do.
yeah. There's what is there? I think there's somebody. I think Jeff told me there's 25 Grand National mini rod events.
goodness.
Yeah, that's gonna buck a few miles. Then and we had in the state of Ohio. Chris had the minis at his event. We had 13 last year, and I think we're hoping for maybe 2 or 3 new ones. If we get 15 or 16 events in Ohio for minis, that'll be a lot of fun.
I bet there'll be more than that.
Could be.
I mean, I would bet closer to 20, but
Yeah.
it's hard to say.
For sure. But yeah, and there's a bunch of new minis getting built here for the state of Ohio. I mean, it's going to be a fun summer here. And then if you try to travel just a little bit to go stretch your legs, it'll be fun for sure. I'm sure I won't be able to stand myself. I'll have to go somewhere. So
Yeah. I'm biased with the mini class, but we saw the Kansas Summer Nationals and Dustin add the mini class for this past year. How's that kind of changed the event with the kind of a different class than what's normally?
I think it was probably a long time overdue, right? To add a class that different to what folks have traditionally seen at our place. It's a relatively inexpensive class to add. I know you've got to pay for that sled, but the bang for the buck, so to speak, that was a class that we'd be hard pressed to not have it back. Those guys probably before the pool, so the pits are open. We encourage fans to go talk to the poolers, look at the vehicles. So between pre-pull and after the pull was over, after the minis got done pulling, they were probably the most visited pullers by fans, I would say, with folks wanting their pictures or just to talk to them, because they are cool to see. They're definitely different than any other class we've had in terms of everybody stayed under control, but they still can get. You can see how they can get a little out of control, and I think the folks really enjoyed that because you guys were booking it. I don't know what mile per hour were, but he was letting you run.
Yeah, Brandon always and his crew does a phenomenal job with letting us run. It's kind of a weird thing to talk about with promoters having like what you guys had with the limited mini rods, the small blocks versus the full-blown national ones. For the fan, it's not really a huge difference, but for the driver, it is kind of deal. So I think for events looking to kind of dabble in a new class, that limited small block is a good stepping stone, but there's just nothing like a Grand National mini class. Before we talk some 2026 stuff and get Randy's final thoughts with this, you had one piece of advice, Dustin, and we'll go around the room, one piece of advice for a first-time promoter that you could give them to get their event off the ground, what would you give them?
Surround yourself with a very good team. You cannot do it by yourself. So make sure you have reliable people that are connected, whether it's in the community, with sponsors, with pullers, to help you make your event successful. Because I know I could not do it without our organization. There's probably 10 to 15 people that really helped me put it on. And like I said, there's no way I could do it or want to do it without them.
Yeah. Chris, if you could, over your years of knowledge, one piece of advice.
Yeah, well, Dustin about nailed it there. I mean, without the people and the sponsors and the money, I mean, you need that, or you can't do it alone. But don't overdo it, because you overdo it and you lose a bunch of money. It's tough to come back a second year and do it again. So it's better to start slow and get big. Don't jump in with 2 feet.
Very true. Very true.
Mike, any advice?
The thing that I've seen the most of is they just need to get the word out. There's a lot of places that I've been to that, and which I like when I go to Kansas, and we do that pull there and stuff, which I know Gail can't do it all and stuff. But you know, we get there early and all that, and we're there for 2 days, and we do a lot of driving around and going to different places, eating at different places and all that. And you never see a flyer or nothing up nowhere. And I think, you know, getting the word out to everybody, and we'll even go into, like, you know, for instance, we go to Walmart or something, you know, when we go, we'll say something to the clerk about it, you know, hey, you know, I always talk about pulling everywhere I go, you know, that's my life, you know, and I always bring it up, and my wife makes fun of me about it and stuff. But, you know, I was even in Indianapolis one day, and we got pulled over because I didn't have no plate on the back, but I have a 24,000 pound plate. And I guess there you're supposed to have plates on back or whatever, not front. But anyways, they pulled me over, and the cop even come up there, and then I started talking to him about garden tractor pulling, you know, to the cop and stuff, and showed him videos and stuff, you know. So it's just kind of weird. I'm just it's always on my mind. And but no, just get the word out there is the big thing.
That's how you talk your way out of a ticket right there.
I know that's right.
So let's talk. I mean, awesome points tonight with how to get an event off the ground, promoting it. Let's talk some stuff for next year. I know, Mike, you got a big event coming up here, and we'll kind of go around with this. Tell us a little bit about your event you're having here, Mike.
No, it's just a horse arena that we do. It's like, you know, 220 foot, you know, nothing crazy special, but I've also, you know, come to the realization that, you know, we're garden tractors. You know, we don't, you know, there's a lot of people that don't even want to pull the 300 foot, you know, 250, 220 foot's fine for us. I mean, they like the 300 foot because they get more speed, the mini rods and stuff. But this is just a pull I've been doing. It's a little bit more affordable for me to be able to do and stuff. And, you know, this is a place we got to pull the dirt out and put the dirt in and stuff. And during the wintertime, it kind of always scares me with the way the weather is, but you can't control Mother Nature. So, you know, if it gets bad and stuff, we're going to cancel, but it's all pre-registration. And if it does get canceled, all the money is going to go back to the pullers and stuff. You know, that was some of the talk that's been going around and stuff, but no, we just have a good time, and there's a lot of people that's been at it that love it. You know, they think it's the best place they've been to.
Yep. We've been a couple years back, and it was a great event then. So we wish you the best of luck with that. It's always going to be a great event down there. So, Chris, let's talk a little bit with what's going on out there in Ohio in 2026.
Well, as in for our event?
Yes.
Well, I think we're pretty much going to do about the same thing we did last year. We might change up a few classes here. One of the dates of the high stakes series does happen to fall on our poll date. So depending on the location of that poll and who is accepted and things of that nature, we might change up a class or two. But other than that, I think we'll pretty much run with the same thing we did. It went very well. So.
Yeah. Similar weekend. Any big changes with that, or any big changes overall with classes or anything?
No, I mean, we're always usually the last week of July, first week of August, but this year we're all in August because the calendar's so late, or for 26 because the calendar's so late. But but we're not gonna. I mean, I wouldn't say we change much. We might change a class or two, depending on what the other organizations put out, but other than that, that's it.
Yeah. Dustin, how's stuff looking for 2026 in McLeod?
Looks good. So we'll be that first Saturday in August, which I believe is August 1st, if I'm remembering right. Classes will be probably the same, maybe add a class or switch a class, but I would anticipate the show being pretty similar to it was last year. I forgot to mention, we also put on a pull in September during our Threshing Bee, which is an NK in Northwest Missouri pull. This past year was only our second year doing it, and that the crowd has grown tremendously the last 2 years. So we will do that again in 2026. That'd be the third Saturday in September. We'll have our second pull, and that's been a great addition to our Threshing Bee as well, to add pulling fans to come, and then also get to see the steam engines and them threshing wheat and sawing logs and all that. And same with the folks that are there for the Threshing Bee, get to watch the pull as well. So
yeah, and I bet that definitely helps out your event there in August, because fans that might not normally come to a tractor pull can get introduced into kind of the world behind it. So no, I mean, we've had a great group of guys here tonight. Phenomenal things said. Randy, what do you got kind of round this out here?
Oh, I'd like to say that those guys all had some really great ideas. Like say, get a good group behind you. Obviously that's the biggest thing to try to make an event happen. A good group behind you. And the biggest thing you got to remember is, like Chris said, start small, then build yourself up. But you got to have fun doing what you're doing. There's got to be some mid and after hours shenanigans to make sure you have fun doing what you're doing, to get people to come back. That's what it's all about. Sometimes we get ourselves so wrapped up in this thing that it is a business, but God, we got to have fun doing what we're doing. And we sure do here at home. We try to have as much fun as we can doing what we're doing. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in Ohio. It sounds like, with the high stakes, there might be an event here in Ohio. It's going to be fun to have. We won't be hosting it or anything, but some of our pullers might get invited to it. But if not, maybe it'll be on one of our off weekends. But I know the one weekend that they've put the dates out is for Chris's weekend, and we have 5 events that weekend, so there'll be a lot of pulling in Ohio that weekend for sure. So other than that, until we find out exactly when and how that's all going to shake out, we're just kind of status quo in it. Fair managers is coming here in about a month, and we'll have a lot of stuff to happen in January to talk about, that's for sure. So, but I said a lot, but I didn't say anything really, so we'll let it go at that. But it was great being on here. Sorry I got here late, but we had a little extra township stuff to handle tonight, but it was a lot of fun as usual. So being here with everybody, so I really appreciate being on here with you guys, and thanks for showing up, Chris and Dustin and Mike. It was great. It was great talking with you a little bit.
Yeah. Hopefully this was a good insight into kind of what really goes on, both from a puller, promoter, and a sled guy's point of view on it. So that's all I've got for this. It's PRI week. So Full Pull Live has got all their stuff rolling on PRI this week. Randy, hope to see you out there. And if anyone else is going to be out there, I know Full Pull is doing a lot for the pullers around there. So get to see the Richardson's foursome mod, and I guess we'll kind of give a report back. Sounds like we're going to figure a lot of stuff out this week.
Sounds like it. Sounds like they're going to reveal. Sounds like they're going to be pulling just about. I talked with Jonathan and Christy just a hot 30 seconds today because we were busy. I was busy, but sounds like they're going to have some sort of a pulling every day of it. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. And I think maybe there might even be a sled out there and maybe a 2-wheeler. I think one of the Nelson's 2-wheelers is going to be there, and maybe a mod from the East Coast. I'm not sure, but be a lot of vehicles out there. It sounds like. So
it's definitely been awesome seeing how pulling's grown with the PRI. I mean,
for sure.
You look 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was no pulling on the scene of PRI.
For sure.
It's just kind of exploded. So it'll be awesome seeing what goes on with all that.
Yeah.
But as for right now, I think it's been a great show. Thank you so much to Chris, Mike, and Dustin for all being on. We'll be posting some things about their events, and you can find them putting on some amazing stuff this year. So, boys, that's all I've got.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you for an amazing show. Stick around. We'll, after we get done with this, we'll have a little debrief and we'll make her better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Today,
Today.
well, let's talk about today.
You go at national and state level, you have to run non-sales, wholesale.
Is 9,000.
The only mistake I made, I didn't put her in a registration movement.
Just this ever evolving story.